Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In what is stunning turn of events this offseason for the San Jose Sharks, they've pulled off yet another blockbuster, and a blockbuster including Ottawa. They've been trade partners and dance partners not only this offseason but in other recent memory. But the Sharks acquire two-time Norris Trophy winner Erik Karlsson. And because, well, it's the Eriks, we decided to do a quick hit about the trade. And so, quickly coming down from Cap Friendly, the Sharks receive Erik Karlsson and Francis Perron. The Ottawa Senators, the Ottawa Senators receive Chris Tierney, Dylan DeMello, the rights to Joshua Norris, Rudolph Balcers, a 2019 conditional second round pick, a 2020 conditional first round pick, and a 2021 second round conditional pick. Now, based on what we've seen so far through Dregs and through Elliot Friedman, through pretty much most of the hockey media, there are several clauses, including one that Erik Karlsson, if traded to an Eastern Conference team, receives a higher receives a higher value pick, going from a second to a first. There's also another escalator clause if Erik Karlsson is re-signed by the San Jose Sharks. So the Sharks right now are free to re-sign Erik Karlsson, and I would have to imagine that this situation is going to be a lot more stable, and I would assume that he would enjoy playing on a defense core with another Norris Trophy winner. Kura, what are your just initial thoughts on this trade?
Well, of course, my first initial thoughts is that we finally have an Erik who spells his name the right way on the team. Of course, I was walking with corporate guys at my day job as my phone's just blowing up. I'm like trying to figure out what's going on, and then when I catch our text, and I'm like, "Oh my God, are you serious? I can't believe it." At first, I'm like, "Wow, that's a lot to give to Ottawa." But when you see that Bobby Ryan's not a part of it, I kind of had a feeling that was going to happen. I mean, it is a lot to give up. You're saying goodbye to Chris Tierney. Dylan DeMello, like I mentioned on the Periscope just a few minutes ago. Dylan DeMello, he was essentially not re-signed. He became a UFA. Then the Sharks signed him like a week or two later. And now he's shipped off to their the rights to Josh Norris. They had it up and coming with him, but I don't think he was going to be ready yet. Rudolph Balcers, I think, was like the main top notch, go-to guy for the Barracuda all last season until the two kids came in late in the year. And then they throw in the picks, which is something that Ottawa really needed. Granted, I think they were hoping that they would get a 2019 first to make up for the most likely the first overall pick that they might give to Colorado at the end of the season. I gotta be honest, it's win-win. It shows the Sharks are now all in to go for it this year, and for Ottawa, it's a huge thing for them because this really gets things moving. For them into their rebuild and to like restart their franchise, which, let's be honest, they are in dire need of getting a refresh going in the Ottawa Valley.
Yes, and we want to thank all 28 of you who've stepped onto the podcast right now. It's really unprecedented. I think most of us, we just really want to, I think it's franchise altering. I mean, it's almost as big as the Joe Thornton trade with Boston. And I mean, really, it is that franchise altering. I mean, I've been on Twitter as saying that you're basically going to see a Norris Trophy winner for 50 minutes of an entire game. I mean, just think about that. 25 minutes a night with Burns, 25 minutes a night with Erik Karlsson. And my thoughts were always that if DW was going to strike out with Tavares, who was going to be a franchise altering player, if he was going to strike out with Max Pacioretty, who, let's face it, at this point in his career is a complimentary piece. I would say maybe above a complimentary piece as far as a core player, but not necessarily a franchise altering player. But that if that wasn't going to be an option for him, that you go all in on that defense and you try and get Erik Karlsson as much as you can, because it's basically a reverse Pittsburgh where they have all the forward talent, we have all the defensive talent, and it's going to be about getting to the blue line, getting those pucks back to the blue line, getting those either a wrister or a slapper off. I mean, again, you have Brent Burns, you have Mark-Edward Vlasic, you have Erik Karlsson, and I mean, let's throw in a Justin Braun, a Brendan Dillon, and a Heed.
Or even Joachim Ryan, who played pretty well after he subbed in for Paul Martin. I mean, that's gotta be like the best 7 defensemen in the 7 defensive units in the NHL. I mean,
I don't see how there's any NHL defense core that stacks up now against the Sharks. I mean, the Sharks were already considered upper echelon, but this is insane.
Yeah, in the age factor, yeah, that's probably going to become a key with a lot of people are going to mention that. But you hit it right on the head. To have 15 to 20 minutes each of Karlsson, Burns, and Vlasic, to have that balance out, and we talked about it with the forwards in on After Dark and a bunch of others in that sense. To have that balance is going to be huge, and especially if you're planning to make a long run into June, it'll be massive. And for that matter, and as I throw it back to you, Landy, holy crap! So Burns will be on one power play unit, Karlsson on the other.
No, I think that you
stack them up.
You stack them, because basically, Burns is going to play that rover position anyways. So you basically got 4 forwards and a defenseman on on that power play unit. We're approaching Warriors-esque level of talent on a blue line. I mean, it's just unbelievable that we were able to get something like this. And honestly, you also have to talk about the cap situation. We still have $1.7 million in cap, and you don't have to take on Bobby Ryan's contract. That's well worth the extra pick and or extra players, right? I mean, Rudolph Balcers hurts, Josh Norris hurts, but some other people have said that Josh Norris hadn't signed yet, and he was going to be a pending free agent, a college free agent, and we all know how that goes down to the wire, and that's never a sure thing.
And I think short term, Chris Tierney is going to hurt more because he seemed like he was finally finding his way up in San Jose. So that's one thing we'll discuss later tonight, and we should promote that to you, lady. Is we'll have a more of an expansive show later this evening. But back to you, Landy.
Right. So just kind of recapping through the prospect situation. It is Josh Norris. It is Rudolph Balcers, Dylan DeMello, also who we can throw in as kind of a young and up and coming defenseman. Chris Tierney had established himself as that third line player, but really, I mean, we had said last year that he was on the clock, and really last year was going to determine whether or not he was going to be expendable moving forward. Did he wow the pants off of us? No. But did he put up better numbers than prior? Yes. So, his career arc was really going to be about whether or not he was going to make that next step on top of the step he already made. which is a lot to ask for from a player, and it's way more of an unsure thing than having Erik Karlsson on a blue line. So, you've got to look at the scales of a known commodity versus a commodity that is relatively unknown. And you also have to factor in that Erik Karlsson is only on 1 year deal. So this could end up only being a rental. However, with DW and the way he makes trades, you would have thought he would have done some homework on, okay, would he sign an extension? How is he going to fit in the dressing room? What exactly, is he going to bring as far as presence? Will he mesh with a big personality like Brent Burns or Joe Thornton or Evander Kane? These are all things that Doug Wilson really prides himself on figuring out. So, I mean, major homework must have been done on this trade.
I absolutely agree, and I think this organization, and kudos to Doug Wilson and Doug Wilson Jr., along with Tim Burke and Joe Will, who are the co-assistant general managers. Um, they've done their homework on this, and a lot of people were iffy about Evander Kane when the Sharks acquired him at the trade deadline. But he seemed to be a good fit. He seems very happy to be here, and my goodness, for the price of one John Tavares, you can get for at least one season Evander Kane and Erik Karlsson. That speaks leaps and bounds. But I would also say they have to be thinking contract extension. I don't think there would be any other reason to pull this if there wasn't a way to try to get more out of Karlsson.
So here's a quick hit from Twitter from David Pagnota from the fourth period, who's always got some really, really good information. Karlsson made it clear to just about every team interested that he'd explore an extension after the fact. Priority was he and his wife get acclimated to the new city and see if it's a long-term home. And if it is, they'll sign. And I mean, look, if you're in Northern California where you have a level of anonymity that you don't get in Canada, so that's a plus. You have, the Bay Area, which is home to innovation, to great schools, to just any kind of outside of LA, it's the mecca of California. So, I don't foresee a living situation being poor here. It's going to be how to make the money work, and it's going to be about the long-term situation of cap flexibility. So, you do have a lot of money invested in the blue line, but you know what? If you're going to keep that investment on the blue line and backfill forwards, I'd be okay with that. I mean, for the next 5 years, if you have Vlasic, Burns, and Karlsson, who are all going to be in their 30s, and we all know defensemen mature at a much later time, I mean, I don't see how you could have it better than that.
And also, just not just counting just the defense, you also have Martin Jones locked up for a number of years. Aaron Dell's going to start his new contract this season. So the defense and the goaltending is all locked up right now. And then you throw in like Antoine Bibeau, who the Sharks are really high on, so much so that they sent the best, the 2017 best goaltender in the AHL to Milwaukee, and love you, gross Nick, but I mean, it's crazy how the depth has come on, and it's that defense is there. Maybe now we wonder what we're going to do with the four lines and go from there. But nonetheless, it's a day to celebrate if you're a Sharks fan now, because you have a solid D in your lineup that's going to be rocking teal and sometimes black for a full year.
And just to put one little more, just a little bow around the prospect situation, I think this happens and you're able to deal with the prospect situation a lot better because of two kids that have come up and really wowed the pants off the organization. Chmelevski, and Chekovich. If those two have not progressed as far as they have, this would hurt a lot more. But you have Chekovich, you have Chmelevski, you still have Jeremy Waugh, Ryan Merkley. You picked up Antti Sumela. You've got Nick DeSimone still waiting in the wings. I mean, you've got a prospect crop that is not lacking, and to still keep on to high draft picks and to good prospects, it is just goes to show you how much that this organization has really focused on backfilling the farm system. I mean, look, to still keep to still keep Maxim Latunov. I mean, there's I can go on and on about the prospects that we still have, but in the long run, yes, it does hurt, but I think it's mitigated quite a bit by how much growth we've seen in the prospect pool.
Yep, absolutely. And let's be honest here, Pavelski is a UFA at the end of this year. Jumbo, we don't know how much time there is. I mean, I just you wonder if this was the all-in card to have a swan song for the two Joes. I mean, we don't know their expectation to sign beyond next year, so we'll see about that.
So I'm about to run out of power here. Erik's got to go back, but we just wanted to say thank you to everybody. I mean, all 40 of you that showed up and took this quick hit. But we will have more extended coverage tonight. So please be on the lookout for time information. Or probably later in the evening because Erik's got to go to a dinner party for Tamara, so that's this Erik, not that Erik.
Yeah, I was gonna
so
say, wait, I don't know Tamara besides your girlfriend, but I'm not driving down to San Diego, man.
So anyhow, it'd probably be a little bit later, but we will have a complete recap. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.